We were excited when Carolyn Webster Stratton developed a new 12-session parenting programme for parents of children with autistic spectrum disorders or language delay. And we immediately set about to see how it would be received by parents of young children with these difficulties in Wales. This short video gives an introduction to the programme with the first group of parents in Wales to attend. The programme explores strategies to increase children's social skills with their peers and to develop their self-regulation skills and understanding of other people and their feelings. There's a major emphasis on developing children's language, since this is an area with which many, although not all, autistic spectrum children struggle. Helping parents to develop these skills can reduce some of the behavioural problems that many parents find the most challenging aspects of having a child on the spectrum.
We managed to get him into 2 shows without the ear defenders. We just sat at the back.
Wow.
And which we didn't queue, because he wouldn't queue. He started kicking off as soon as he saw all the people. Like, right, okay, I'm going to queue. We'll go for a walk. We came back, the queue had gone, so we said, oh, we'll go see if there's any seats left. Went in, and there was a couple. We said at the back.
Where was that?
In Butlin. Yeah, no, in Skegness.
Skegness.
And we sat at the back, and he sat there, sort of staring at the Scooby-Doo show that was going on. And my niece was with us. She works with children, and she said, "I'm just going to go get them a treat." And we brought a lolly, just a little sweet lolly, and he just sat there licking it the whole time, completely oblivious to everyone else around him, just watching the show and licking his lolly. And no ear defenders either, which was a big thing for him because he hates crowd noises.
The programme covers familiar topics. It starts with child-directed play to promote positive relationships and includes describing what the child is doing. However, there's a much greater emphasis on the challenges of engaging the attention of these children and what parents need to do to get into their child's attention spotlight.
So, you can do this play in an activity that you're doing in any case, like having a bath or getting dressed, and then record. You've got a record sheet.
Do you ever use photos of him doing the next thing, or do you tend to focus on photos of the person he might be going to see? Or
yeah, either the person, if it's like school or going to see his nanny, or if it's a place like Tesco, or I'll show him the photo of the place.
Brilliant.
So.
Okay. That's a great idea. And of course a lot of the group is about sharing the ideas that already work for you. A key focus of the programme is how to use the things that the child wants or enjoys to prompt the behaviour that parents want, such as giving brief eye contact. This is introduced as the antecedent behaviour consequence strategy. The consequence is what the child enjoys, maybe a sensory activity, blowing bubbles, spinning or using a tablet. The behaviour that the parent wants could be giving brief eye contact or attention, and the antecedent is the way that the parent prompts the child to do briefly what they want in order to get the rewarding consequence. An example would be holding the bubbles close to the parent's eyes and not letting the child see the bubbles until they briefly glance at the parent. This strategy is particularly important for the parents of hard to engage children, and the focus of the programme is getting into the child's attention spotlight.
Big bubble.
You lucky good boy.
Brilliant, okay. I think that was really skilled actually, and then when he realised the bubbles were around and he wanted them, then you gradually shifted him round to the point where he had to give you attention, and he gave you really good attention. Think about the things you could do to get into the child's attention spotlight, to think about how you could make it more likely that they would actually acknowledge that you were there or that you would get their attention. Because we're thinking about identifying the things that are really important to the children that they want to do, and then thinking about how we can use that to prompt them to give us a tiny little bit of what we want, that tiny little bit of eye contact or attention, in order that they can then get to the things that are very reinforcing for them. So So we're really watching carefully the things that are important to them. Helping parents to achieve these outcomes are explored throughout the programme, which contains many similar features to the well-established parenting programmes. Parents set themselves weekly targets, and the first part of every session is spent checking in with them on how things have gone in order to share good ideas and troubleshoot any problems. And you had slightly different goals from one another. So Shauna, you were really interested in helping Jack to communicate better and to be able to understand him, to be able to look at the world through his eyes and try to make more sense of how he viewed things. Can you think of a particular instruction that you can think of that you'd like him to do more of?
Possibly have your nappy changed.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, that's an important one, yeah. So that's one of the times when he might be really difficult that you'd have to fight with him. I remember you talking Next, the topic of the day is introduced through discussion, and this is followed by watching video clips of parents with their children, and these are used to help the parents to identify key parenting principles that will help them to achieve their own goals. Okay, so we're going to watch now. Dad's got some bubbles, and try and just focus on all the different things that the dad's doing to make this a successful communication. Let's just pause it there already, because dad's doing one or two quite useful things, isn't he? Anyone think about? Yes, he's really prompting a response there. Yeah.
He's not just blowing it, he's waiting for...
So he's making sure that he gets a little response from Hudson. Strategies are practiced within the group before parents discuss and set themselves goals for the coming week. We asked the parents why they decided to come along to the programme.
I think it was just because my child Jack had so many challenges ahead of him, and I didn't quite... Someone says he's got autism, it's nice to go and so you can try and get a better view of the world from his point of view and make life a little bit easier for him. And I think it was just, I like the idea of meeting other parents in the same situation as well, because I don't really know anyone else really whose kids have got autism, so you kind of feel alone.
I was just looking for ways that I could help Leo really, you know, maybe get a better of a understanding, and ways that I could help with his behaviour, and he wasn't talking a lot, so I was just looking for some help and some advice really, because I didn't know anybody with autistic children that I could turn to, or so just ways that I could help him and help myself, so yeah.
I think because I wasn't sure how to deal with Yuan and how to deal with his behaviour, and there isn't a handbook for parents that have an autistic child, you don't have all the answers, and you don't know many people that do have the answers, and as much as you talk to the psychologists, etc., you can't think of everything to ask them on a day-to-day basis. So any help we were going to take, any courses that would help us with Yuan's behaviour and how we could deal with him, we were going to try.
I think it's just with Callum's challenging behaviour and learning how to deal with it better, and also trying to help my older son understand Callum's behaviour better and trying to get them to interact a bit better.
I decided to do an Incredible Years course because my son's school actually asked me to, so it was an unusual route in. They explained that as part of the statementing process it was something that would need to be done as a tick box. That was what brought me to doing a parenting course. But then, because I'm a librarian and look things up, I went online and looked it up and discovered on the website there was mention of there being a specialist autistic spectrum one running, and I thought that would be much more useful, so I got in touch and was able to start on the second week.
Coming to a group isn't always easy, so we asked the parents what it was like actually coming along to the first session.
It was a bit daunting coming at first, because it's like you haven't been in school for that many years. It was like, is it going to be like school? Do you have to talk? And are people going to judge you? Because you tend to get judged a lot by your child's behaviour. But it was nice when he came. I felt relaxed straight away, sort of thing. And it was just all the parents are in the same boat, so you all bounce off each other and share ideas.
I was daunted at first. It was a bit out of my comfort zone, but it was a good group and I settled in really quick, and it's been really helpful. And yeah.
We asked parents what they found particularly helpful about the programme.
It's helped me with Yuan, it's helped me in my job, it's helped me with other people's children when you're around other people's children, helped me with my son that isn't autistic. It's helped in lots of different ways, Every parent has a different story and every parent has different experiences, and some are like yours, so you can feel that, you know, you have similarities with somebody. You're not just a person talking one-on-one with somebody that is, you know, they do it for a job and they may have lots of experience, but having the parents there to talk to and to realise you're just not on your own, I thought that was fantastic. We still chat via Facebook. I know some have actually met up when they've had the time to meet up and do things with their children. And it's just being a sounding board for other people, I think, you know, so when you're having a down day, you can talk to these people and have that little extra support, and don't feel like you're going to be criticised or judged, because everybody's sort of in the same boat.
Just because it's giving me a way to cope with different situations, which is benefiting him more than anything else would. So I think it's been really, really helpful.
It's definitely more beneficial being part of a group, because it's nice to know, firstly, that there are other parents who are having similar struggles, and that you're not that you can often feel quite isolated, and that maybe you're the only one that's struggling with these particular things. So in terms of that, it's really nice to have that support, and it's been really good to kind of feed off each other and get ideas off each other as to how best to support your child.
We asked the parents whether there were any specific changes that they could identify that they attributed to coming along to the group.
He's very, very repetitive, saying the same word over and over again. He was, at the time, he was hitting, lashing out, because he had hardly any speech then, so but we didn't know that at the time. So he was lashing out if he couldn't say anything. So it was just basically to understand him and help him to not lash out. And I set boundaries with him now, because he didn't know whether to, like, what he understood, and if you know, autism, because we didn't know we were letting him get away with more because of the autism, rather than giving him boundaries. So I think that made me realise he needs to be set boundaries. He needs to be treated like a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, rather than a 2-3-year-old in some aspects, because if he's got no boundaries, he'll be getting away with it for years. And he understands more than we think as well.
Just learning all the phrases like emotional regulation and having a kind of framework to understand his behaviour and be able to talk about it and know what kind of things to look for. And following on from that, I enjoyed all the sessions. I enjoyed the child-directed play and the attention spotlight, but I did particularly enjoy the sessions on emotional regulation and breathing tactics and things like that, because that's particularly an area where I really want to help my son to calm himself down. It really helps you know which things to focus on with your children, because obviously everybody is trying their best as a parent to do the right thing for their child anyway, and a lot of the things you cover on the course kind of emphasise stuff you're doing already, but it just really points you towards which things are the most effective things to be doing with your child. You know, even things like the standing there and describing what they're doing, very effective with any child, but particularly when you have got a child that is on the spectrum and maybe wants you to go away when they're engaged in something, knowing that the kind of psychological research behind it is showing that actually standing there and commenting, they are aware of that, and the praise helps them. It just really helps you to most effectively interact with your children, I think.
I learned to be more patient with him and following his lead rather than forcing things on him, and just making things more fun so that I could keep his attention and I found describing things, like it said in the video, I found that really useful. And we've been giving him the language, so he's been copying it more and using it. So I found that has been really helpful, the videos. Yeah. I've got the skills now to get him to concentrate for longer, and yes, definitely, and he's sharing and different things. Yeah. It taught you, if you like, you know, things that maybe you was doing before, but I was doing it more and just using it like that, so.
Because I think when he realises that I'm at his level and that I'm following him, then he's able to better engage with me. So yeah, it's definitely helped him be able to follow instruction, yeah.
Each week we ask the parents to do things at home before the next session to try out ideas with their children, and we ask them how helpful this was.
Because before I came, I wouldn't have thought about eye contact. So it was getting the eye contact. You don't realise how, even though they don't say anything, you don't realise how important that is, because you've got acknowledgement.
I think mainly it was the fact that when we had the discussions and we'd come in and other people would say what they did and how they found it. If he was having a particularly bad week and somebody else had a bad week, it didn't make you feel as bad, but you'd also pick up the ideas of what they did and think, oh, well, maybe I could try that to make him a bit more receptive to it.
Doing the activities was good, and actually, you know, yeah, coming back to the session today, it makes me wish that actually you could do the course and then maybe come back twice a year and do a little backup session in a way, because you kind of carry on some of the stuff, but some of it you let drift, and it reminds you how useful and important it is.
Yeah, I found it good because, you know, instead of passing it off, like, oh, I haven't got the time, you were more inclined to do it, and so, yeah. You know, like sometimes you think, oh, well, I'm doing this, I can't do that. But I made more of an effort to do it, and so definitely, yeah. Because I knew that going into the next session, I would have to speak about it, so I was more inclined to do it. And I enjoyed it, you know, and I realised I did have the time to do things. I maybe didn't have the patience before, you know. When he didn't want to do something, I would just let him pass it off, but now I had the skills to keep him there and keep him interacting, you know, and keep his concentration, so.
Once parents have looked at the video clips and identified some of the things that those parents are doing, we ask them to try out those ideas in the group. And what about, you know, sometimes in the group we would ask you to practice things, try it out and be a child or be a parent and try out the ideas. Was that helpful?
I think it was. I think quite a lot of people, myself included, you feel a bit silly doing it and taking part. But then when you think about realising why you're doing it, and you get to see it from your child's point of view and the parent's point of view as well, so you get the best of both worlds. When you think about it in the long run, it's worthwhile doing.
We asked parents what they would say to other parents that were thinking of coming along to the programme.
I would say definitely to do it. I think it's been such a good help for me. And also, I'm quite envious that maybe when Poppy was little, there wasn't a programme like this that I could have gone to, because I can see how much it's benefited my relationship with Freddie and to be able to understand him much better. I think just that whole ability to be able to get on their level more and have a better understanding of how they're thinking and feeling and expressing their emotion and why maybe they're displaying negative behaviour. And so yeah, it's definitely been helpful for both of them.
I'd say definitely do it, because be open-minded, because I don't like talking in front of people and things, but it was so nice to do it, and it's given me such a different view of autism and how to parent my son. It's completely changed it. Definitely try it, give it a try.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it. I found the videos really useful, and you know, the children on the video had a lot of the same traits as my son has, so you could relate to it, and I'd definitely recommend.
Come along. I would really recommend it, because, as I said before I come here, I knew next to nothing about autism. I knew as I was going along with Jack, but I've learnt more here in the last 3-4 months than I did in the first 3.5, 4 years of Jack.
Definitely. definitely go to a group, because you sometimes just feel like you're on your own. And even if you're not on your own and you've got family, sometimes the family that aren't with your child 24/7 don't understand what you're going through. Only another parent that's going through it with another child 24/7 can actually relate to what you're saying.
Definitely give it a chance, even though it's daunting at first, thinking there's going to be all these strange people that you don't know, and you're going to be talking about your child and you think they may not be in the same position as you are. They are really, and they're all thinking the same, and you just meet some wonderful people, and the ideas you get and the things you get to share is amazing.
I would say it would be a really useful thing to do. It just really helps emphasise what things will help guide your parenting. I'm sure that it's useful for any parent, but particularly if you've got a child on the spectrum and you're thinking about this particular course, it's great because all the videos and all the guidance from people in the group is all very much geared around your specific, your children's needs, and you'll get an awful lot from meeting the other parents as well.